Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. Across from me, I've got Richard and Sean. Good day.
Yes.
Good day.
It is a day.
Yeah.
It is.
Don't tell me how to have my day.
You know what? Screw you, bad day.
So
we are on to minute 107. We don't have any housekeeping. Let's get right into the Minute of the Apes.
We're starting minute 107 with Taylor finishing his sentence, "Doctor, I still do." And it ends with Taylor riding off to the left on horseback with Nova. And as minute 107, we've got our two living humans, our two dead humans, poor Dodge and Stewart, one dead ape, a shrewdness of apes, and a gaggle of humans. You should read some more of what Zayas was saying because he throws some more anger out there.
Well, let's finish. Let's kind of just remind everybody. I mean, it's been 24 hours, right? So Zayas said, all my life I've awaited your coming and dreaded it like death itself. And then our minute ended with, in the middle of Taylor's comment, why? I've terrified you from the first. Doctor, I still do. You're afraid of me. You hate me. And why?
And why, indeed.
That's an entry point, right?
Well, it is. That's exactly what we said yesterday. That is the question. Why have you hated me?
Why do you hate me?
Yes. So, in the close-up, though, before we get into the meat of this, I have to say that like a teenage girl with bad matching of her base to her skin tone, Maurice Evans is like, his makeup, you can see...
Where the eyes are...
Yeah, you can totally see, the brow and the snout. Yes, and you see what I'm saying, though, right around his eyes, it's a little more pinkish than the brownish.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been on the beach,
got the Trump eyes
he may not
going
have put on his monkey SPF.
Well, his monkey SPF. But they did not do it. Where we've got Cornelius and Zira, their tones are matched very well.
Right.
This one, you can definitely see they've stuck something on when you really
yeah,
look
I mean,
at it.
He does look like he's wearing a mask at this point because of the discoloration of it. And maybe the prosthetic didn't sun well.
Maybe not. But it's the first time, and to be fair, it is the first time that I've had that moment where I thought, ooh, that does not look good.
Well, and some of it might have to do with the fact that this is one of the few shots we've had that is actually down on.
Mm-hmm. Shot from above.
And with natural
Zayas.
light.
Yeah, exactly. He's still in a submissive pose. He's still actually tied to that rope.
That
and
driftwood.
And Taylor's still up on the horse with Nova.
True.
Right, so they're having this back and forth conversation where Taylor is now in command, which may be why this is shot that way. And just the down on Cornelius, we may not have actually had a moment where we could actually see his makeup like that because he's not been shot down like that.
There's a part of me that actually enjoys seeing that mistake more than today. Today, they would go in with a makeup mistake, much like they did even with Return of the Jedi, where they put that little floating black thing by the Emperor's face.
The Emperor's slugs.
Yeah. They would go in and color correct that. I kind of liked it. And what I also like is so much stuff now, if you put makeup on, is going to sheathe the whole face. Mm-hmm. We actually see Maurice Evans' bags under his eyes. Right. It's part of who he is. And I like that about
that. I miss that level of detail in watching some of these older films where they didn't have...
where it's practical.
Where they didn't have CG. Where, it was practical. And so they had to have a lot more attention to detail, and these people look real. Versus now, when you go in with the CG and you kind of create the stuff, and you have like teams of people painting. I mean, if you watch any of these movies now, and they get to the digital artists, and it's like
one whole block of text for.
It's like an entire. They don't even tell you what they're doing anymore. They just say, special effects by this, digital painting by this, and it's like legions and legions of names that are paying attention to so many of the small details. And here we've just got. They're just a makeup guy. They're on him, and they're just taking a shot.
And I think when we especially get to the current films, we're going to see this exact conversation come up again, because while those films have apes that look pretty photorealistic, I find myself when I watch them occasionally missing
the practical.
Yeah, just the simple human connection that even though they were apes, they still felt human. They felt like people I could relate to. And in the others, it's like, that's an ape. That is 100% an ape.
It is not a person.
I was so happy to see Yoda in The Last Jedi as a puppet. Have you guys watched Runaways on Hulu yet?
I still haven't.
So it's based on. Have you watched it?
I don't have Hulu.
It's based on a comic book called The Runaways by Brian K. Vaughan, and in it there is a giant. What are those called?
A raptor.
Yeah, Velociraptor.
Oh,
there's a Velociraptor that's been
a pet,
genetically bred.
Okay.
And one of the characters' parents, basically, she's bonded to this Velociraptor. And in the show, they went out of their way to make sure they used a puppet.
Really?
A physical thing, yeah.
A physical thing. Now, granted, when you see its entire body moving in and out of a scene, they will go digital. But the minute the dinosaur is in a kind of a shot where you can see
Like a headshot of
a
it or
headshot
whatever.
of the dinosaur's name is an old lace, you actually get the satisfaction of that kind of tactile response of when she touches.
It's real.
It's real. It works so well.
I don't know if you ever watched a show from a while ago called Farscape, and they did it with Jim Henson's company, and so they actually had Muppet-like characters on there. And in producing it and listening to commentaries and stuff like that, they would always say the most important thing was punch the Muppet. If you touch it and start interacting with it, you're showing that it's something physical that's there in the reality with you. So whenever you can touch an actual ape, whenever you can, have physical contact with them rather than a CG where it almost looks like they're touching but not, it's important to show that something's more real. Yeah.
To be fair, I'll chime in with that recently, something I follow on Facebook, the prop store, which sells props of films and things like that, had a video that they tested for Jurassic Park where they actually built a foam suit around a man for the Velociraptors, bringing it back full circle to you. That was fascinating because you could tell it was a person occasionally. However, I kept thinking, boy, that would have been kind of cool if they're actually in the room and you could touch that. And I'll post that video out there so people can see what we're talking about. But I do miss those days, and it's one of the things I have liked about the new Star Wars films. Even though, again, I'll go toe-to-toe, I didn't like The Last Jedi. But I digress. What I like is that it isn't just CG.
Right.
So I look at Maurice Evans. I look at this. I can look at each of you. Richard, you're infinitely nicer looking than Sean and I. But
Default settings.
each one of us have, when you smile, I can see the lines in your face. The same as Sean. And I like that about Maurice Evans in this. He's wearing a snout. He's wearing these things that may be mismatched skin tones, but there is truth and humanity, and there are eyes that are alive. In that, and I love that moment with him.
That being said, Andy Serkis did really good with this stuff.
Okay, but to be fair, they do a great job. And I was watching. I don't know if you've,
but they're digitally tracking his face as well. I mean,
they are, and they're taking his eyes.
It is his acting. Yeah,
there's a wonderful video on the recent release.
Well, I was thinking about the very first one where he's like when they first put him in the zoo.
Put him against the face. Yeah, that scene where he puts his face against
puffing
glass.
His mouth. He's just so angry. Yeah.
Well, there's a wonderful video in the new release of the last one that actually shows you in tandem. Here's the actual shot they shot up top, and here's the thing they did, and you can see it's Andy Serkis' eyes, and so they do a great job of that. But Maurice Evans, he's a badass bitch.
We'll discuss that in a couple of years.
Yes, we will.
So Taylor says, "I still do. You're afraid of me. You hate me. Why?" And then we get Zalis. Because you are a man. And you are right, and I have always known about man. From the evidence, I believe his wisdom must walk hand in hand with his idiocy. His emotions must rule his brain. He must be a warlike creature who gives battle to everything around him, even himself. So, now Zaius is known man, right? Clearly they're in the jungle, they're coming out, and they're
humans
raiding their field, things like that. Maybe that's the difference. Is he distinguishing man versus humans? I mean, is that...
I don't know.
But he says, and you're right, I've always known about man. From the evidence, I believe his wisdom must walk hand in hand with his idiocy. His emotions must rule his brain. He must be a warlike creature who gives battle to everything around him, even himself. And then, of course, do you want to break that one down for go to the next revelation?
Yes, as a matter of fact. So we've had so many things that have commented on race relations that this one feels 100% angled towards obviously the entirety of humanity, with Vietnam occurring at that time.
Right. We're moving beyond the
black and white
race issue.
Right. Now we're into the fact that man beyond that destroys, pillages, rapes, all things that come before them. They ruin it. I wonder in 1968 how many people actually realized, because often, I don't think we, even ourselves, and all the trials and tribulations of today's political crap, we may sit there and bitch about it on social media, but it usually takes 10 to 15 years before we begin to say, I truly understand it. I understand why that happened, what's going on, what it meant. Did people in 1968 understand that finger was being pointed at them?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean...
Today
it seems so obvious, but I'm hoping that it was smacking him in the face back then too.
I
don't know. Yeah.
I mean, when Schindler's List comes out, you have the years of hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
if Schindler's List comes out at the time of World War II,
Yeah. Is it taken in the same way?
Does it make as much of an impact in that way? That's all I'm asking.
I don't know.
Can you go back in time on the TARDIS,
Let me go
please?
find out. Hang on. I'll be back.
So
I'll talk to you yesterday about it.
you're watching this film for the very first time. You're not able to go back and run your DVR.
Right.
What's not on streaming where you can pause it and watch it and replay it. You get one shot unless you go back and watch the film again.
Right.
Right. Or go and read the book series, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you were coming to this moment right here, because you're a man, you were right. I've always known about man. From the evidence, I believe his wisdom must walk in hand with his idiocy. Is this a turn in the movie itself into what the meaning of the movie is? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like because at this point you're watching this, it's a sci-fi epic. There are clearly allusions to race in America at the moment. There's allusions to the conflict between science and religion.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually a statement about humankind itself.
About the nature of man.
The nature of man, a bigger statement about just all of it.
Right.
Just put all your issues, all your eggs, put all your shit in a basket. And this is like it's all of man.
It is.
Any of these other things, it's all about this moment right here.
And I think in that moment, and we keep pointing to what Zaius knew, what he didn't know. He has to know. He has to, at this point, when he starts saying things about what man does to itself, in moments coming, he's even going to describe the evidence that he's seen.
We know, Sean knows the pop culture beat at the end of it, but if you're watching the first time and you don't know that beat, this would seem like a sudden turn to me.
I don't disagree with that.
If I did not know how the movie ended, I'd be like, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy?
And it would seem to you, though, that he has seen something.
Right. He knows.
Give him that information,
right.
So he knows, I can't condemn you. I can condemn you, Richard, because I have prejudiced ideas if I want them.
Right.
But in this kind of condemnation, it is, I have evidence. There's something that is making,
right.
This is not a prejudiced idea. This is, I've seen something, man does this, and in the coming sentences, it's going to only illustrate that more.
Right.
Speaking of coming sentences, what else did he say? Sorry.
Which, by the way, I love it when you do, Zaius. Go ahead.
Well, so anyway, he says his emotions must rule his brain. He must be a warlike creature who gives battle to everything around him, even himself. And Taylor says, what evidence? No weapons were found in the cave. What is Taylor thinking?
Ding,
the one cave that they found things in.
But what is Taylor thinking? Why is he thinking?
Because he's seen no other evidence.
He says a warlike creature. It's like, well, there's no weapons in the cave. Right?
Okay, but to be fair to what Taylor understands, Zaius has seen none of this, because he's like, okay, show me. This is, whatever you found here. He's trivialized it. So suddenly he's up there and we've seen a doll, we've seen some dentures, we've seen some glasses. Yeah. There's no proof of war. What's your evidence? Zaius has seen,
something,
and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it's coming. He has seen the Statue of Liberty. He has seen that shit. He has seen what's blown up. He knows what's going on. At that point, there is no question in my mind, because he offers that very true statement. A warlike creature that gives battle to everything around him, even himself, which wars we begin are often more about ourselves than the externalized idea of it. They have destroyed themselves to get further in man. He admits it at that point.
So Taylor says no weapons were found in the cave. And Zay says, the Forbidden Zone was once a paradise. Your breed made a desert of it ages ago.
To which I want to go, so wait, are they in the Forbidden Zone right now? And if they are, is this supposed to be the barren zone that they're in? Because it's just nice little beach.
This is the no-go zone.
Yeah.
It's not the forbidden. Just don't go
there.
they're
on the beach. It's the go-go zone.
It is the go-go.
So I will say this, that we can't talk about future minutes, but this moment the Forbidden
Even though
Zone
Todd just did.
Okay, hang on. And I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't talk about future minute. We know where this is going.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When they do the Star Wars minute, they know that the Death Star is going to blow up. The majority of people know.
Wait, what? In which movie this happened?
I forgot you never
How
seen
many
that either.
movies can a Death Star blow up in?
Welcome to Sean has never seen all the pop culture big movies in the world. But it is the truth. He knows at this point what has happened. Go ahead.
They're in the
But I'm
forbidden.
not discussing that.
They're in the forbidden zone.
Yes.
We just drove across a long desert and came across a beach.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen no other evidence of life at this particular moment. So they are in the forbidden zone.
You're probably
even though
right.
It's a nice, pretty sandy beach. Now, I can't talk about the future minutes, but this is the forbidden zone.
All right.